Welcome to the Disturbing Illusion channel. I'm Brian, and today we've got some breaking news that I wanted to cover real quick. I don't know if Donald Trump intends to release poorly worded tweets and messages on Truth Social, but it sure comes across like he's trying to trigger people and push their buttons unnecessarily. There's this debate happening all across the interwebs based on this last Truth Social post, and I find it interesting that X says former U.S. President Donald Trump announced via social media on March 4th, 2025, that's today, that he intends to cut federal spending to educational institutions allowing what he terms illegal protests. The policy includes severe measures against protesters such as imprisonment or deportation for agitators and expulsion or arrest for U.S. students. Additionally, there's a strict prohibition on mask usage during these protests. We're going to read the post here in a second. This has sparked a debate about the implications for free speech and First Amendment rights. And maybe he words it the way he does so that he can spark a debate. Because it seems like the way Trump thinks, if he clarifies things on the front end, less people will talk about it and it'll get less traction. So it's just pretty interesting. Here's the actual tweet or the actual post from Truth Social. All federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protests. First of all, should we be using federal funds to support and throw money to any college, school, or university? Because if you think about it, federal funds are a pool collected by the tax cattle from America and Americans, and taxes are plunder. It's actually more than theft. It's extortion because they do it by the barrel of a government gun. If you don't give us a percentage of everything you earned, you're going to be in trouble. We're going to throw you in prison. We're going to send men with guns to your door. So that's extortion in and of itself. But should we be using that extortion money to fund these schools? What if you don't want these particular schools funded? Well, you don't have a choice. That's antithetical to freedom, in my opinion. So it says it will not allow illegal protests. The second question is, what is an illegal protest? Would it be deemed illegal, for example, to protest against a certain nation that is constantly bombarding and genociding people in Gaza?
And here's what I will do to defeat anti-Semitism and defend our Jewish citizens in America. My first week back in the Oval Office, my administration will inform every college president that if you do not end anti-Semitic propaganda, they will lose their accreditation and federal taxpayer support.
Would that be considered by Donald Trump as an illegal protest? Donald Trump says agitators will be imprisoned or permanently sent back to the country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled or, depending on the crime, arrested. No masks. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Should someone be jailed for exercising a right? Remember, this is a fundamental constitutional rights, and there are 5 articulated in the First Amendment. Raps, religion, assembly, petition, press, speech. So in assembly and petition, it almost seems like he's putting those 2 amendments in the possible category of illegal protests. Now, some people have suggested that, well, what he means is that people can't riot and break windows and disrupt other campus members, other students on the campus. But that's a riot. Protests aren't riots, and riots aren't protests. The words have meaning. He says illegal protest. How can a protest be illegal? Because if it turns violent, it's no longer a protest. It's a riot. Is he trying to be vague on purpose? Should somebody be jailed for exercising a right? What if somebody says something that Donald Trump doesn't agree with? What if they do something that Donald Trump doesn't agree with? We know that the Supreme Court has ruled that burning a flag, for example, is in concert with exercising your freedom of speech. Even flashing your lights on the roadway. I don't know if anybody knows this, but flashing your lights on a roadway to alert fellow drivers on the other side of the road that there's a radar, there's a cop with a radar gun, and he's trying to get you on a speeding citation so he can make $250 off of you, here in the state of Oklahoma. Flashing your lights is an exercise of freedom of speech, according to the Supreme Court. According to the same Supreme Court, burning a flag is your right, exercising your right to freedom of speech, assuming that you're not burning it on somebody else's property, assuming that it's not somebody else's flag, as long as it's your flag and you're not harming anybody, threatening to harm anybody, damaging anybody else's property. If it's your flag, you can burn the flag. Now, this might be offensive. This might be distasteful. This might be outrageous to people who are patriotic Americans, and you've damaged their sensibilities and you've made them mad. But that's what free speech is all about. It's not free speech to write things that everybody's going to agree with or do things that everybody's going to agree with. It's free speech to do things that other people might find pretty disgusting. That's America. That's what America is supposed to be. Your right to assemble, your right to petition the government for redress of grievances. So should somebody be sent to jail for exercising a right? And the reason I brought up the flag burning is because Donald Trump says on multiple occasions, he said, and as far as I know, he's not retracted this. If you're caught burning an American flag, you automatically get 12 months in prison. How is it just to throw a man who's burning his own flag in, an expression of free speech? How is it just to throw that man into a cage when he has not created another victim? And he says, no masks. You're not free to wear a mask when once they threatened us if we didn't. If you're not free to wear a mask on American soil, if you're not free to protest things that other people find offensive, are you really free in America? Is this the land of the free, home of the brave, or is this the land of the fee, home of the slave? Crystal Ball says, so glad free speech is back. And I'm thinking that there's probably going to be a clarification on this post. And Trump's going to come out and say, well, you can't, during your protests, you can't be throwing rocks. You can't be throwing Molotov cocktails. You can't be breaking windows. You can't be burning things in the street and flipping cars. That is a riot. That is creating chaos. A protest is a protest, and never the two shall meet. Once a protest becomes violent, once they start grabbing people off the street, punching people in the face, taking their baseball bats and breaking store windows, or launching those Molotov cocktails, or flipping cars, or burning tires in the street, once it crosses from marching down the road telling people, hey, this is what we got a problem with, once it turns violent, it ceases to be a protest. So it's a real head scratcher when he says that federal funding will be withheld from anybody who allows an illegal protest. Let me know what you guys think about this. Is this Donald Trump trying to push people's buttons and get people to talk about free speech and what's an illegal protest? What's a legal protest? Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought, please, in the comments below. The reason I think this is important is because we know what Donald Trump says about freedom of speech. As a matter of fact, I want to quote Donald Trump here. He definitely wants people jailed for burning flags.
And we do not need more people who want to burn our flag. I watched yesterday and the day before, they're burning our American flag. And I said, I know they say it's unconstitutional. Well, make it not unconstitutional. You burn our American flag, you should get immediately mandatory 1 year in jail. We ought to come up with legislation that if you burn the American flag, you go to jail for 1 year. 1 year. We should have legislation that if somebody wants to burn the American flag and stomp on it, but just burn it, they go to jail for 1 year, okay?
And he wants a biometric visa entry and exit tracking system on the land, on the sea, and in the air.
We will finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. In my administration, we will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
And those expressed desires are what give me pause about this recent post by Donald Trump. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to this channel, share this video, like this video. This is the only way we can grow and offset the imbalance of the left versus right paradigm lie. I'll see you in the next video.